Easter is the most important day in our faith, yet in the middle of the coronavirus crisis, parishes are facing challenges unlike any before. Doing his best to help churches get through these difficult days is Tim Glemkowski. He's the author of Made for Mission, which lays out ways pastors can revitalize their parishes. He joins us now. And Tim, first, how are you doing during this crisis?
Yeah, I think like everyone, we're just kind of hanging in there, right? It's unprecedented, so just doing our best. But
All right, what have pastors been saying to you about the pandemic?
yeah, it's interesting. I think I see a lot of bravery and heroism, and a lot of pastors who are really rising up to the challenge of the moment. I think for the most part, I've been generally very encouraged by the response of pastors. Now, there's no doubt there's an incredible amount of uncertainty right now. Right away, I think like 3 days in this kind of content creation era that we live in, I was seeing articles that were like 8 things to do in the midst of quarantine, and I think it starts in some ways with recognizing none of us know what actually to do right now, right? We're all figuring it out on the fly. But I've seen so many pastors really grab hold of their vocation of the priesthood, which to me is very encouraging.
Yeah, and this is Holy Week, the most solemn week for the church. What do you feel are the biggest problems facing parishes right now?
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's practical problems, issues of the kind of impact it has on the church practically with no collections and no masses. I think very deeply people are feeling the spiritual problem though, of isolation and discouragement, and people are confused and concerned and afraid. And the church has always been the beacon of hope in the midst of difficult times. And so I think pastors learning how to do that on the fly and digitally and all these different ways is really one of the major issues that I think many are trying to confront right now.
All right, so what are three pieces of advice you'd give pastors right now to help them get through the crisis and better connect with their parishioners?
Sure. Yeah. So a couple things, I think that pastors can do. I think the first is to put on their own gas mask first, right? Like, or to put on their own, when the airplane, when you're losing
Hmm.
pressure and you have to put on your own air mask first, right? Like, I think pastors have to remember their own mental and spiritual health is paramount in this time. They can't give what they're not receiving from the
Right.
Lord. And,
Hmm.
and in this time of simplicity and kind of movement away from some of the activity that's normal in parish life, I think we should take that occasion to really treat it as a time of retreat, to find more a closer relationship to the Lord. I think too, they take care of their household first. I think there's a lot of ways that they can still reach out to parishioners. I think I've seen some pastors who are calling everybody in their parish, everybody in the parish books, and let's talk for 15 minutes. How you doing? Can we connect? I think that's really important. I think live streaming, devotions and the mass and different things like that can help people too. And then too, I think along with that practical question, making an appeal and saying to people, a lot of people are in uncertain financial situations right now, but there are some people who still want to give and support their parish, and helping show them how they can do that really simply through online giving is a really just simple solution right now to help build some of that financial health back. And then the last thing I think is we have to have the ability as pastors right now, they have to have the ability to see through the storm prophetically. Like we forget sometimes that priests are anointed into the 3 moon era of Jesus Christ as priest, prophet, and king. And that prophetic mission to see how the Lord sees right now in this time of uncertainty, and it feels like we're in a storm and there's a fog and everything's just up in the air. I think we have to really ask for that new vision and that new sight to be able to see, like, how is God calling us to be the church right now under quarantine, but then moving into the future when the lights do come back on. I think it can be tempting to just say, like, well, I just hope everybody comes back. But what's
Hmm.
even the more? What God is the semper Mayer, He's the evermore. Like, what is God calling us to even more when the lights do come back on in our parishes?
All right, good things to think about. Tim Glemkowski, author of Made for Mission. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
If you're watching Currents News on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and then click on the bell to get instant updates about all of our newest content, because we are putting your faith in the news.